Hey, thanks for coming back to the channel. Today we have another race of the Manufacturers Series for the 21-22 Exhibition Series. We're at the Nurburgring Nordschleife, very famous track, qualified P4, and we're here for a 3-lap blast through the forest. So standing start, a little bit of wheel spin, but that's actually good, otherwise the McLaren just bogs down too much. Now, super cold tires, we're on the hard tires. Have to take it super cautiously into this first corner, and you see myself and the NSX were obviously taking it a little bit more easier because the front two have already started to break away and have actually just broken the slipstream from us. So as we come through this tricky left-right-hander, very easy in the MR car to just get a lot of sliding in the rear end through these corners. So especially on the cold tires, you just really want to be very gentle on the throttle in this early phase of the race. But at this point, we are looking pretty good. We've made it through the first section without picking up any penalties, without running into anyone. So all things considered, a decent start for a standing start. So skipping up ahead, and there's basically a group of 3 of us forming. We've just fallen back a little bit from the front two, but we have broken away from the pack behind us. So it was his Waters in the Honda NSX, myself in the McLaren 650S, and then behind me was a driver I'd never seen before, Loza_28, an Australian driver driving the Porsche Cayman. So I was actually a little bit worried about having him behind me, but as you can see, he is following along, and he can follow quite closely without running into the back of me. So as we come into this very tight left-hander here, this complex of corners, I was a little bit concerned, but no, to his credit, he was a very respectful driver, but he does just run a little bit wide there on the exit, and that's just going to put a little bit of dirt on his tires. And I think now he tries to push through this left-hander and ends up running wide onto the concrete apron up there, and that just has basically a compound effect where he's once again going to now run wide for that right-hander and go out onto the grass. So for the time being, the Porsche has dropped back from us, so we're cutting up ahead up to what I call the roller coaster section. You kind of get up to the top of the hill here. This is after the first carousel, and then you have this kind of downhill run through all of these very quick corners, but the McLaren just doesn't really have the pace here compared to something like the Porsche. And I think this Loza driver behind me, he was very quick, so he does catch back up, and I actually lose touch to his Waters in the NSX ahead of me. And this is where I basically just come into the second carousel a little bit too hot and ends up spitting me out. I was just overdriving, trying, wanting to catch back up to the slipstream of the front 3 up ahead before they got onto this long back straight, because this is where you can really save a lot of fuel. This race is a fuel-saving race, essentially. So as we come around the corner onto the back straight, I was very worried that I wasn't going to get into the slipstream, but I just managed to pick it up. But I put the fuel map up just a little bit too high, and I don't close up as much as I probably should, because as we come here to round out the end of the last lap, I'm only just hanging onto the slipstream of the Porsche, and for whatever reason, the Porsche has actually managed to catch up and take the slipstream of the NSX ahead of us. So as we run through that section, you see that I just lose touch with them and end up falling back, and so I'm going to have to spend the majority of this second lap, or at least the first half of it, without any slipstream. But as we jump up ahead now to the carousel on the second lap, I have actually caught up just as we come through this section, but unfortunately in the slipstream running up the hill here, just a little bit extra speed than normal, a little bit more worn tires, and I just missed the apex there. And this track, because there's so many cambered corners, you're just offline slightly and you lose a lot of time. So I just fall back 3 or 4 attempts there, and once again I'm out of the slipstream. And so through this whole section, I'm just having to use up a lot more fuel than the 3 ahead of me. So as we come through the second carousel, I try to push as we exit it, because I'm desperate to get back up into the slipstream, but we get a little snap of oversteer there. And so once again we're going to go through this long right-hander, and I'm just hoping that maybe that Porsche doesn't have enough top speed, that as we come through the exit, I'm just going to be able to latch onto the back of his slipstream again like last lap, but unfortunately not. And so the front 3 up ahead, they all have slipstream down that main straight, and I didn't. So as we come into the pits for our one and only pit stop, we're not going to take on any tires at this stop. This will just purely be a splash and dash for a little bit of petrol just to get us through to the end of the race. So we come in, We fuel up, probably about 13 liters put into the car, and as we come out, we are just in front of the NSX, so he must have had to take on that little bit extra fuel, and so we're going to run side by side now, and he actually is going to have the inside line coming into this quick right-hander, but for whatever reason, he does decide to back out of it. So up into 4th place, same as where we started. So we lost a position to the Porsche, but we now have gained on the NSX, and so we're running in 4th place. So pushing really hard here, using all of my engine power, not fuel mapping at all, just to try and break out of the slip. But he's now getting a run up alongside me, and he's gonna have the inside line again for a very quick corner. But he once more just backs out of it. So obviously he probably is a little bit marginal on fuel and wants to actually stay behind and just save as much fuel as he can and save it for a final push. So as we come down this downhill section, I'm just going to speed things up, and you see I actually have a really good run through this segment of the track, and we're just going to start to pull away slightly from the NSX behind. So cutting up ahead now, we're after the first carousel. We've just gone through the roller coaster sequence, and now we're here at YouTube corner, and this Viper up ahead is doing a lot of fuel saving, and he actually runs wide and gets himself a half-second penalty, so he gives up the place to the Porsche, so he's down in 3rd, and we're going to now catch up to him through this sequence, and unfortunately there's not really anywhere that you can pass. This is a very, very skinny section of track, so we're catching up to him, but he is doing a lot of fuel saving, so even though we have the slipstream, we're actually going to have to start backing off, and the NSX is just going to get closer and closer behind us. So I'm actually going to think about having a move up into this quick right-hander, and we just get up into his slipstream. We duck up onto the inside, but no, I decide to back out of it. I don't want to have a crash him. I don't want to ruin his race, just in case he doesn't see it coming, so I back out of it. But now, unfortunately, the NSX is right up behind us, because this Viper Super GT, it's a bit strange, his name is Super, but he's driving a Viper. He has been fuel saving so much that we had to back out, and now the NSX is going to be right behind us as we round the last corner onto this back straight. So the Viper moves over there to serve his penalty, just steal a little bit of slipstream from him as we go past. But you see the NSX, he just has all the time in the world to get past us on this back straight. And unfortunately, because that Viper is close enough behind, I can't do the strategy where I just drop back quite a way behind the NSX and then try and slingshot back past him. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm just going to have to duck in behind him and try and stay as close as possible and hope that he overshoots into this final corner, just trying to defend. And so as we come into this final complex of corners, I back out a little bit. He does brake a little bit late, and he does have a little bit of the back end stepping out there, but he manages to keep it together, and unfortunately we are going to round this final corner to finish in 4th place, exactly where we started. So we weren't able to move forward throughout the race, but 4th place was an absolutely brilliant result for me. I wasn't expecting a super good result at this track. So we'll check the manufacturer's points just quickly here. You can see we're sitting in 1st place for the local ranking, 3rd for the manufacturer of McLaren.
So that's all for today's video. Really appreciate it. Hit the like. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video and you're not already a member, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.